Okay, so I'm still sick with the corona, so I may sound like shit, but that's okay, because today we're talking about the guy who's basically King Voldemort. I've said it. If you look at the actual screen here, I got it posted a picture of King Voldemort's own picture in Kingdom Under Fire Heroes versus, on the left side, Richter, which is who we're talking about today, Richter, who I strongly believe is actually King Voldemort. So, Richter, who the hell is he? Well, he's only in Kingdom Under Fire War of Heroes, unless they actually confirm that he is, in fact, King Voldemort, in which case he's been in pretty much all the series. So, let's talk about him. So, right off the bat, there's a bit of a lore issue with Richter, where in the game itself, it's not presented that he is a lord of the vampires. It's just that he's a very powerful vampire who can lord over others. It's kind of presented that way. But in the gaming manual, it's stated that he has taken over his father's kingdom in Veland, and that he is aiding Rick Blood, known as the Dark Emperor, because he strongly synergizes with Rick Blood. They feel on an emotional level that they're both lonely beings who really have no place in the world. Great. But in the game itself, though, which is what I'm more harking onto, it's more illustrated that he has chased his father, hasn't really killed him, though, and he's using the vampire clan he has created to hunt him down. But right now, he's more preoccupied helping Rick Blood by being the Dark Emperor of the Dark Legion and pushing humanity out of the world. That seems to be what it is. Especially when he does finally find his father. He is as powerful as you've left off in the campaign. He's got the same items. And he finally kills his father. And he's like, finally, I can, move on with my life. So, let's talk about that. What exactly is Richter's motivations for killing his father? Well, you see, vampires are not a natural creation, and Richter was originally just a normal human with his own mother and sister, and they lived pretty happily. Until one day, probably the age of maturity, his father swooped in and gave him the dark gift, his vampiric gift. Now, it's not stated whether or not his father was always a vampire, or whether or not his father became one, decided, hey, let me share this to my son. It's not exactly clear, doesn't really matter. But when Richter here wakes up, Richter wakes up to just two corpses next to him. His own mother and his own sister, who he loved very, very dearly. And without them, he felt alone, lost. And his father left as well. He was just like, all right, cool. You're a vampire. You just killed everyone. Cool. I'm out. Peace. And for a long time, Richter didn't believe that he killed them. He thought that he was just simply knocked out, turned into a vampire, and his own father killed his mother and sister. That's what he was led to believe. But when he was confronting his own father far later on, it comes to light that no, he's the one who killed his own mother and sister. Now, right off the bat, we can kind of see a bit of an issue here with his character. His character's kind of confusing. He honestly is very strange. On one hand, he wanted to kill his father so he could kill himself afterwards, having, avenged his family. But on the other hand, he really hates humanity. He really doesn't like what they're doing. He doesn't like that they're always greedy, pushing, and that they just don't understand anything. He seems to hate them and view them as prey. This could be partly due to what vampirism does to the person's body and soul. You are now a being of the dark dimension. You are no longer a being of light. So, with that comes in mind, you are now a twisted thing. You are now a nasty mutation. This, of course, is what I believe is going on. On one hand, he's harking to his human side that, hey, humans, they're alright, and being a vampire is disgusting, I should probably go kill myself. But then his mind is being warped after he's become a vampire, where now he's going, those filthy fucking humans, those filthy, disgusting humans, why can't they just accept their place as the bottom of the well and just be preyed upon by us orcs, vampires, demons? Why can't they just accept this? So this is where we see that character flaw. It's kind of confusing, but when I think you hear it from my words, my own mouth, and you're like, wait a second, yeah, it's a soul thing. His very soul just turned from a being of light, a being of Nibel, to now a being of Ankablosa. He has been through a dramatic change. Being a vampire is more than just simply oh, now I have glittering hair, I have nice little tattoo on my skin. No, it's a very deep ingraining process where you turn into something far beyond a human. Now, Richter in a Kingdom Under Fire War of Heroes is a very interesting character because he's very loyal to Rick Blood. And the reason why is because they're actually friends. That's right, friends. Rick Blood actually having friends? Yeah. Instead of people just being utter slaves to his power? No. It's actually interesting is that the two are viewed as equals amongst each other. Here you have Richter, who is, while he is physically capable of just rending someone's flesh with his own bare hands, he is actually more magically inclined. It's been shown several times that he is capable of seeing through a magical orb and commanding the army through telekinesis and such, and that he's able to turn invisible at will, glide through someone, and all of a sudden their neck will just spew open blood. This guy is extremely dangerous. Now, him and Rick Blood, also known as the Dark Emperor, they united the Dark Legion. They created the Dark Legion. They started to push away humanity. Now, Richter is the one who's the commentator for most of the missions throughout the game if you play as the orcs. And he is very sadistic. He is so excited to kill humanity, put the screws to them. But here's the interesting thing, is that eventually throughout the War of Heroes, what happens is Amaruk, the Lich, also once known as Kiliani, betrays Rick Blood and imprisons him. Now, the moment Rick Blood disappears, Richter immediately accuses humanity and launches a full-scale invasion, pushing back Hronodin, pushing back Azilla. He is so close to actually destroying everybody. But then he decides to take a little journey into Amaruk's own forces and go, what's the deal? Why aren't you coming over? Like, why is it that there's no undead army following me into humanity? Like, what's going on? And as he's exploring Amaruk's holdings, he finds Rick Blood chained against his will. And this is where he turns the entire Dark Legion against Amaruk. And this is where we see Richter is very easy to piss off and very easy to take things maybe a little too far, in my opinion. But it does suit a young vampire lord who is, finally in power of things, finally in charge of something over his life. And here he is, he views everyone as a lesser being, and the audacity someone has to fight his very first and only friend. Yikes. You're definitely in for a hellstorm. This is where Richter really serves in the War of Heroes story, though. After everything's said and done, he just carries on his life. And it comes on to the extra mission that you can unlock. This is where it's a bit of the lore conflict, is whether or not he killed his father before War of Heroes or after War of Heroes. Judging by a lot of the dialogue, judging by a lot of the gameplay, it seems it's after. But according to the game manual, it says before. There's a bit of a lore issue. But I'm going to go with what's in the game, which is it's after. So after Amaruk's defeated, Rick Blood just disappears, nowhere to be seen, along with Curian, Moonlight, and Keither. Richter returns to Veland and finds his father, kills him, realizes that he's the reason that his mother and sister are dead. And when he walks out, he actually takes solace in it. Originally, he was going to kill himself, but he goes, no, I am what I am now. I can be who I am. I'm no longer hiding in my father's shadow. I'm no longer being menaced by his presence, by his blood running through my veins. No, I'm actually something greater. I'm something better. And this is where, again, I tie it in that his mind is totally warped. And then, of course, this is theory crafting, but I do think he really is King Valdemar. I really do believe it. For a few reasons, and we're going to talk about this. See, when time passes by, the Valdemar that we see is a lot older, and when we see Richter in A War of Heroes, he's stated to be kind of old. He's stated to be maybe possibly 200 years old, 300 years old, as he keeps talking about ancient knowledge that he possesses, about how long his journey's been, for, again, to kill his father and to eventually rise to be the king that he eventually becomes. So it does make sense to me that the Valdemar we see in Kingdom Under Fire Heroes is very olden, very wizened, but yet still contains the same tattoos, the same appearance. For some reason, in Kingdom Under Fire Circle of Heroes, they depict him as like this wrinkly, Darth Sidious looking motherfucker. But honestly, that doesn't bother me at all, because I think that's more of Lionheart's own projections, his own interpretations of his own father, his old man. Just this elderly, crippled dude who doesn't do anything but sit around and talk about magical knowledge. Which again, that's why Voldemar is under such good control of the Dark Elves. He's very magically powerful. And it's one of those things that's stated that if he does not die, the Caedus will never overthrow Velon and create their own Dark Elf nation. He's way too powerful, magically speaking. Now, what other figure do we know of who's a vampire that's so engrossed in magic, so magically devastating? It would be Richter. And of course, spending a lot of time with Rick Blood, the Dark Emperor, and fighting against Moonlight and Keither. He's the only person, the only wizard that I could think of that definitely would fill that role of this insanely powerful Dark Emperor who's a magical caster, is able to subjugate entire species of warlike elves. Sounds like Richter to me. Now, one of the things, too, that we have to remember is that in Kingdom Under Fire, A War of Heroes, Richter and Rick Blood were friends. And Rick Blood, mind you, looks pretty much the exact same in Kingdom Under Fire Heroes and Crusaders. Here we get to the next part. In Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders and Heroes, Lord Voldemort, for whatever reason, trusts Rick Blood, now known as Rainier. He's going by a different name, Rainier. He trusts him absolutely with the annexing of Hexter. So much so that when he talks to his own son, Lionheart, he already tells him, he's like, you're going to follow this man, and he's going to bring Hexter down to its knees. We'll be fine. And then we'll take back Iran. And Lionheart's just bewildered. He's like, you're trusting this weirdly strong human ape with annexing Hexter? You know how tough those ogres are? You know how tough Hexter is to annex? And Lord Voldemort just doesn't even give a fuck. He doesn't even bat an eye. He knows already in his mind this guy's going to do it. That Rainier is going to subjugate all the orcs easily. Now, why would he know that? Why would he understand this? Simple. He's friends with Rainier. He knows him from 150 years ago. And this is also where it comes to the next part. Why would Rainier not just kill Lord Voldemort? Honestly, there's nothing stopping Rainier from crowning himself the Dark Emperor again and taking over the Dark Elves. There's nothing stopping him. And this is what Lucretia kind of talks about in Kingdom of Fire Crusaders, is that when Rainier annexed Hexter, he annexed the Dark Elves as well. Now, that's kind of true, but kind of not. On one hand, yes, an immortal warlord is impossible to fight, especially when he's got the entire army of orcs and ogres on his back, and he's siding with Voldemort. But on the flip side, Voldemort is powerful enough to subjugate the Dark Elves. He just wants Hexter. He wants that additional power, that additional force, the orcs and ogres. One less threat to worry about. So it kind of becomes a thing where it's like, why did Rainier just not kill Voldemort? Why did he leave him alive? He may be insanely magically powerful, but the dude's literally immortal. He is able to break anybody with his sword. He is insanely powerful. He's even able to do a powerful force push ability. Like, there's nothing really stopping him, unless he knows that that's his old friend, Richter. So, I'll leave you guys to think about this. I'll leave you guys a comment down below. Please tell me what you guys think about Richter or this video. And as always, comment down below what you guys want to see for future content. This has been fun as always. I've been sick as fuck with the Rona. That's why I haven't really been posting. And that's why I've also haven't done much, like live streaming. So, see you guys next time.